Steve, great to have you here. So it's the first day of the Open Compute Summit. What have you found so far? Is there anything particularly interesting? Any trend that you spotted that we should know about?
I think it's pretty great. I think, so I've been coming to the Open Compute, to these summits since the very beginning, actually since they had it in the cafeteria at Facebook, so it was very fun.
Right?
That first one was there.
At 2 o'clock in the morning in the cafeteria?
It wasn't at 2 o'clock.
Aha!
It was in the morning, but not 2. But so we've been coming for a long time, and it's changed so much from those days to just the announcement of the actual product and information. It was very educational, and then every year it's gotten more robust, and you can kind of see how things are going from less of a fringy type of basically state to much more solid in terms of product that you can really bring out into the market. And we're seeing stuff that was really just for all the big guys initially. It felt like it was much more focused on scale, and we're seeing now there's a lot more product that is looking a lot more like it's for enterprise. So there's a whole tier of customers below the really large guys, and they've been looking at Open Compute and looking at all the things the big guys have been doing, and they've wanted it. But it hasn't always been easy for them to be able to get it. And I think now that's what's really changing. I think the products are kind of coming into a state where it's a little bit easier to absorb. And I think the other thing too is that customers are also changing too. So there's two things happening, I think. One is, I think there's a larger selection, which is really exciting, of products that fits more people. And the other thing is, I think some of the larger customers are also investing more in the space themselves. So they're able to be a little bit more prescriptive in terms of what they want, be able to be more clear about specs. So there's a lot of dynamics that are happening now that's changing. So, but it's been great. So that's the show itself has been really exciting now.
And how's that affecting you? How's that affecting your business?
So our business was really born out of the Open Compute project. So we actually are the guys that we started. I mean, our first big customer was Facebook. It still is. So we do all the integration for all the racks. So all the racks that are going into, Prineville or Forest City or Altoona, all those are our products that are getting integrated and rolling into those facilities. So we started out in 2010 with these guys, first launching the first products into their data centers in 2011, and it's exploded to the point of, really it's a major part of our business today. So it's really become a huge piece of business, and it started all with Facebook Open Compute. We tried earlier to get other people interested in more custom types of builds before Open Compute, and it was a lot of work. There's a lot of compelling reasons to do something more custom. But
what were the major barriers to that?
I think the major one was this, and we saw this time and time again. You go to at the time Google was doing this, so there's definitely was a reason why you would do it. But Google didn't share anything, so people didn't know if it was really a benefit for them or anybody else. Is Google just a little bit odd, or why are they doing it? And then Facebook put all the information out there, and suddenly we went from trying to convince people to take a look at it to having everybody kind of pounding on our door at that point, because it became so clear. They clearly laid out all the benefits on power and cooling and costs and everything else. So our business actually came out of Facebook and the Open Compute project.
And what's the next step, do you think, in terms of the Open Compute is maturing, products are beginning.
Right.
Are the big guys there because they have to be? Because it's the smaller guys who still, as I thought this morning, coming in and producing, innovating.
Right. I would say that today it looks like it's still a certain group of us that have been really selling to the large-scale data center guys. And the way we've been doing it is because you go in there and you listen to what they want. And they are prescriptive about the things that they want. So you sort of customize everything from how you source the product, how you integrate the product, how you deliver the product, how you communicate, all the transparency. That, for what the big guys want, that's what you do. And I think that it's a big market, and it's very clearly something everybody wants. So I think that type of innovation just pushed everybody else. So I think that the bigger players, like the traditional tier ones, have come in here, and I think that's great. I think it's good for everybody. I think competition is good. I think it's making everybody better, and I think they bring things to the table too that are interesting that we can also leverage. In some cases, even in the case of HP, they're saying, hey, we're going to have some components and things, and I have an ecosystem of partners I can choose from today. But now I get to add HP as a potential partner in the ecosystem, even just on parts or possibly on services and everything else. So I think that the bigger guys coming in, I think it definitely validates what's happening, and I think it just enriches actually the entire ecosystem. So it's all good, and you know, they're coming in for a very specific reason, right? They can see there's a lot of there's a big market here.
But some would say, and there's a small minority who would say they've come in, they've got what they want. At some point, they'll be off, and we'll be back to, you know, that
they'll
that
come in and come back out again. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I don't know. The world is interesting. I mean, I think ever since Open Compute, and I really think that was a catalyst for everything. Now that information goes out there, it's like hard to put the genie back in the box, right? So it's all out there and it's available for everybody today. I think that I don't think you can go back. I don't think you can go and say, okay, I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to push you guys all back into something else.
Yeah.
It's out there, and I think that the smart players, all the smart ones know, it's you work in the market and you do the best for the customer. And in this case, there's much less siloing. There's a lot of collaboration and co-opetition, much more in this space. And if you can't do it, you should just get out of the space. But what I find is everybody, even the larger tier 1 guys, I think get that. It's like it's about getting the customer the right products, and I feel, you know, we're definitely open to taking a look at what anybody else has if it feels like it could be good additional value. But yeah, I think it's the secret's out. You know, it's everybody knows the benefits of doing this type of thing, and now we just have to keep collaborating and growing.
And final question for you, Steve. What do you think the data center is going to look like in 3 or 4 years' time?
Yeah,
because we're living in a cloud world.
Right,
I mean, it's going to have the cloud at one end and tiny data centers.
Right.
What's going to be in the middle?
Yeah, I mean, to me, when we look at what's going on, it's just going to continue to get more and more efficient. I mean, I think the platforms are very interesting how they're changing. There's so many innovative things in every little area. You know, networking, it's gotten very interesting. In cold storage, lots of different areas, I think. And in the processors we're using, I think it's getting, it's a much more varied type of environment. Everything is going to just zero in on efficiency. That's what it feels like. So I think we're going to still see, you know, continue to see large-scale data centers, and the big are just getting bigger. If that's our experience, there's nobody slowing down. Everybody's definitely getting bigger. I think it's going to be much more varied, and I think there's going to be a lot of commonality because everybody's looking for many of the same things, which is TCO and that type of thing. But how they deploy based upon the workload is going to still be different. I think we're still going to have a lot of variation in terms of who's going to do what. There's a lot of philosophical differences on different types of trade-offs, you know, what they're looking at in terms of design. So I think we're still going to see a fair amount of variability because at scale, variability, it makes a difference because variability is going to drive TCO and that type of thing. So you don't have as much variability if you're just throwing a bunch of stuff to a lot of different companies and they just have to conform. But that's not how it's going to work in large scale. Large scale is still, we have to actually conform to the large scale customer. So I think we're going to still see a lot of variability. So, and we like that. That's what we like. It keeps things moving and keeps things competitive, and it makes it a lot more exciting and very fun. The big guys, the big data center guys are fun and they challenge you, and you have to always be ready to move in every direction and not just engineering. It's deployment, logistics, it's everything, and it's pretty exciting.
Excellent, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.